Have you ever felt your blood boil when someone cuts you off in traffic? Or when you get blamed for something you didn't do? Or maybe when your child just won't listen, no matter how many times you ask? Now imagine this. Within just 1 hour of that moment, your brain could suddenly lose its blood supply. According to a major study published in the European Heart Journal, 1 in 11 strokes occurred in people who experienced intense anger or emotional upset in the hour before their stroke. 1 in 11, let that number sink in. Welcome to the channel. I'm a stroke doctor here in the UK, and I can promise you this: if you stay with me until the end of this video, the next time something pushes you to the edge, you'll think twice before losing your temper. Because in that moment, the only person you could be hurting is yourself. As always, let's begin with a case to put all this into perspective. It started with something so ordinary you could imagine it happening to anyone. David, 56 years old, was driving home after a long day. He'd worked late again, missed dinner, and was stuck in rush hour traffic. The sky was grey, the rain relentless, and the car in front of him kept braking for no reason. Then, the final straw, a driver cut right across his lane without signalling. David's hand hit the horn. He shouted, "Are you kidding me?" His heart pounded so hard it felt like he could hear it in his ears. His face flushed. His vision narrowed. A few minutes later, he pulled up outside his home, still angry, still shaking. He slammed the front door, muttered under his breath, and sat on the sofa to cool off. That's when his wife noticed something was wrong. "David, why are you talking like that?" she said. Half of his face wasn't moving properly. His words were slurred. One side of his body had gone heavy and weak. By the time he reached hospital, the scan confirmed it. David had suffered an ischemic stroke. Now here's the most shocking part. David didn't have the typical high-risk profile we often think of. His cholesterol was slightly raised, blood pressure a little high but nothing alarming. He didn't smoke, didn't drink much. But that evening, in the hour before his stroke, he'd experienced something that science now recognizes as a major trigger: intense anger. As a physician who has treated hundreds of patients with stroke, when I first read the data from the interstroke study published in the European Heart Journal in 2022, I realized just how dangerous these moments of rage can be. Researchers analyzed over 13,000 patients from 32 countries, comparing what they were doing and feeling in the hour before their stroke. What they found was staggering. 1 in 11 strokes happened within an hour of intense anger or emotional upset. So, let's talk about why. When you become angry, your body launches into survival mode, the classic fight or flight response. Adrenaline surges, cortisol rises, your heart rate shoots up, blood vessels constrict, blood pressure can spike by 40 or 50 points in a matter of seconds. Inside your arteries, something even more dangerous happens. Your platelets become stickier, ready to form clots. If you already have a small area of plaque in your carotid or brain arteries, that sudden surge in pressure can cause it to rupture. A clot forms on top, breaks loose, and travels into the brain. Within minutes, a vital artery becomes blocked. Brain tissue begins to die. That's a stroke. Now, anger itself doesn't create plaque or disease out of thin air. It simply acts as the spark that lights the fire, the final push on a system that's already under pressure. And that's what we believe happened to David. He'd probably had years of silent high blood pressure slowly damaging the lining of his arteries, but it was that brief, explosive surge of emotion that tipped the balance. After an outburst of anger, your system doesn't instantly calm down. Cortisol and adrenaline linger in the bloodstream for hours. The heart keeps beating faster. The vessels stay constricted. Your blood remains slightly more sticky. It's a physiological echo that can continue long after the shouting stops. Over time, chronic anger or suppressed stress remodels the blood vessels themselves. The muscular walls thicken, the lining becomes inflamed, and the ability to dilate properly is lost. The arteries become less elastic, more vulnerable. That's why we often see this pattern. People who are described as always on edge, hot-tempered, or under constant stress tend to develop hypertension, heart disease, or even atrial fibrillation earlier in life. The mind-body connection is not just poetic, it's anatomical. So let's rewind to that one crucial hour, the danger zone identified in the interstroke study. What's happening inside your body during that time? Your sympathetic nervous system is firing. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, is screaming, danger. The hypothalamus responds by releasing stress hormones, which tell your adrenal glands to flood the system with adrenaline. Your blood pressure climbs rapidly, your heart contracts more forcefully, and the tiny endothelial cells lining your arteries experience immense mechanical stress. If you could watch this under a microscope, you'd see small vibrations in the vessel wall, micro tears forming in areas already weakened by cholesterol deposits. Platelets rush in to seal the damage, and in doing so, sometimes create a blockage. In that moment, every heartbeat becomes a potential risk. And the truth is, many people never realize they're vulnerable until something happens. When I tell patients about this, they often say, "So what should I do when I feel that angry?" Here's what I tell them. First, recognize the surge, that pounding heart, that heat in your face, that tension in your shoulders. It's your body telling you that your stress system is in overdrive. Awareness is the first line of defense. Second, breathe it down. The simplest but most powerful intervention I know is controlled breathing. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Repeat it a few times. This activates the vagus nerve, which counteracts the sympathetic surge and slows the heart rate. Within 60 seconds, you can actually reverse much of that blood pressure spike. Third, avoid physical strain during anger. Don't storm off to do chores, lift weights, or run. Your vessels are already constricted. That combination of high pressure and muscular exertion multiplies the risk. Give yourself time, even 30 minutes, to settle. Fourth, know your numbers. If your baseline blood pressure is high, those spikes are far more dangerous. Keep your BP below 135/85 if possible. If you have high cholesterol, aim for an LDL below 2 millimoles per litre. Take medications consistently. The calmer your baseline, the less catastrophic a surge becomes. Fifth, find release instead of suppression. Bottled up anger doesn't vanish, it turns inward. It keeps stress hormones circulating quietly in the background. Healthy outlets matter: talking to someone, journaling, mindfulness, faith, humor, anything that diffuses the build-up before it erupts. Because emotional health is vascular health. When I saw David again a month later, he'd recovered remarkably well. His speech was nearly normal, his weakness improving. But what changed most was his perspective. He told me, "Now, whenever I feel that heat rising, I just stop. I picture what happened that night. It's like my brain's warning light." That's the moment most people never get until it's too late. The realization that every emotional reaction has a physical footprint. I want to be clear, we're not saying you should never feel anger. It's a natural emotion. The danger lies in how we process it, whether we let it dominate us or learn to disarm it. Remember, anger isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet resentment, bottled frustration, or ongoing stress that never quite switches off. Studies show that chronic emotional stress can stiffen arteries in the same way smoking or high cholesterol can. The damage might not be visible, but it accumulates. This connection between emotion and vascular events isn't new. Even earlier studies on heart attacks found the same pattern. Moments of anger, grief, or intense anxiety can double or triple the risk of an event within hours. The body doesn't differentiate between emotional and physical threats. When I look back over my years in medicine, one thing stands out. So many major medical emergencies begin with a moment someone thought was trivial, an argument, a shock, a burst of frustration. And yet, for that person, it became the turning point of their life. That's why education matters, because once you know this link exists, you can intervene in real time. Here's a simple mental image I give my patients. Imagine your arteries like glass tubes under pressure. Each time you get angry, it's like shaking that tube violently. If it's brand new, it might survive, but if there's already a crack, that shake can make it shatter. So the goal isn't to eliminate emotion, it's to protect the glass. Get your risk factors under control, sleep well, exercise regularly but not in anger, avoid smoking, manage stress before it manages you. So next time you feel your pulse rising, when that voice in your head says, "I can't believe this person did that," take a second, step back, breathe. Remind yourself, this moment isn't worth my brain cells, because controlling your anger doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It keeps the blood flowing to every corner of your brain. And that 1 minute of calm could save you from a lifetime of disability. So take care of your brain, protect it, not just with medication or diet, but with emotional awareness, because every reaction leaves a trace, and sometimes that trace can change everything. And if you want to know more about protecting your health, watch this video on the screen now.